Hello, my name is Jared Caraway, and today I'm going to talk to you about near-death experiences, or NDEs for short. I remember first hearing about near-death experiences when I was much younger, a young boy, probably about the age of maybe somewhere between 8 and 10 years old, on the TV at the time. You know, we still watched television before the internet was a thing, and you could stream whatever you wanted to. I was watching some TV show on, I think, Fox. It was some collaboration of amazing, hard to believe, shocking stories, and one of them involved a person talking about going through surgery or something and experiencing clinical death. And from their side of things, they experienced a split between their first person experience, as seen through their own eyes looking out at the world, and their body. So they found themselves not looking out through their eyes, but flipped around, looking at themselves lying there on the operating table and still being fully aware of everything. And then there's the whole phenomenon of going through a tunnel, going toward the light or whatever, and then coming back and telling people that they had a real experience during the time when doctors insisted that they must have been dead, that their brain couldn't have been firing, that the way that the materialist worldview has come to accept consciousness as manifesting, being generated as a result, an emergent property of the brain. It's just an impossible experience within our current worldview. So I remember learning about that and thinking, wow, that's really interesting. It must have just been like a hallucination or, a figment of their imagination. Then some time went on, and as I first started entering into what I'll just loosely call my spiritual awakening phase, I found a video on Reddit that somebody had linked that was the account of a man named Jeff Olson. And listening to his testimony really kind of opened my eyes to the actual depth of the experience that occurs when you cross over and leave your mortal shell behind, kind of like a hermit crab ditching its habitat for another. There's quite a bit that goes on related to the dying process. It's not just lights out, everything's black, experience ceases, but in fact, it seems like that's just the beginning of another process. So I remember just being so totally moved by Jeff's experience, because he ended up, I'm pretty sure, paralyzed as a result of a major car crash, and instantly on the site of the collision, his wife and at least one of his children died. And he just discusses it with such a not even like detached sort of vibe, but it's like an acceptance, a very calm acceptance and an understanding and a faith that everything is as it should be, no matter how tragic and how violent and traumatic that experience was for him. Even despite all of the horrible things that happened down here in the earthly realm, what Jeff encountered on the other side was so much greater than all of this that it totally eclipsed, his pain and his loss down here on earth. And I'll never forget watching his video. And as is my nature, once I become interested in one thing, I tend to go down a rabbit hole as deep as it'll go before I end up getting sidetracked and going down a tangential rabbit hole and getting lost in the great rabbit maze underground. But I started really obsessing over near-death experiences because I felt like there's such a commonality among them that I don't think it can be easily explained away within the framework of pure materialism. And that took away my fear of death, basically. And it's not like one of these things where it's like, oh, well, you know, what's even the point of like taking anything seriously if you're just going to like cross over and then be at peace and, you know, you get another chance in another lifetime anyway. But the message that NDE experiencers come back with is that you have a purpose and that you came here, you agreed to come here, you voluntarily came here. Your soul, which is separate from your body, the driving force, the spirit behind the wheel of the car that is your physical manifestation here. But your soul is here to learn and experience and grow. And that basically the conception of God and religion that we get, particularly in America, which is, as much as we try to say that we're an open-minded place for you to practice whatever religion you'd like, is primarily a Christian and lately evangelical Christian place. And they have there's many different denominations of Christianity, but they all have very limited and specific view of the way things are and the way that we should govern ourselves within the world. And near-death experiences point to a far less harsh and punitive and frankly kind of insane God that the Bible paints a picture of. It's all about the probably number one theme that bubbles up no matter the variations in particular individual experiences is a feeling of love, a feeling of experiencing something more real than our everyday reality, that this is just a shadow of the greater truth that is the ultimate capital R reality. And I mean, it makes you think that perhaps philosophers like Plato are right when they talk about a world of forms that exists beyond this one. Robert Monroe, who is like I think my spirit guide, we share a birthday, and he was a businessman who in his 40s, after, you know, getting rich in the radio industry, producing radio programs, he started having these spontaneous out-of-body experiences that really frightened him because some of the physiological effects made him think that it was related to a health concern. He thought he was losing his mind, maybe. And so he got checked out, and they told him that everything seemed fine. And over time, it continued to happen where he would just pop out of his body. His soul, essentially, would pop out of his body. And he got to the point where he could kind of control it and direct the experiences. So he started developing these tapes and came up with this technology called hemisync, which I won't go into in this video, but perhaps in a future video. Leave a comment below if you're interested in learning about hemisync more. But basically, he developed these audio programs that could allow you to put the part of your brain to sleep that runs your body's physiological mechanisms while keeping awake the part of your brain that deals with abstract thinking, problem solving, creativity, intuition, things like that, so that you essentially undergo a program of self-hypnosis. And over time, not everybody can do it for reasons that are not entirely clear, but over time, you can work your way up to having an out-of-body experience yourself. And in fact, I have had that experience 2 times, which I'll definitely have to make another video about that, because it was a very fascinating experience, I'll say. What Monroe gets at in the long run, over the course of 3 books that he writes, he founded an institute called the Monroe Institute, somewhere in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. In the 70s, he got a team of explorers. He named them the Explorers at the Monroe Institute. And it was a group of people who were willing to undergo listening to the tapes that use binaural beat technology, as well as brainwave recordings, essentially, that cause your brain to sync up with the frequencies that you perceive in your mind. Again, I won't go into the technicalities of that in this video, but that'll be a good topic for a future video. You can alter your state of waking consciousness, like I said, so that your body is asleep, but your mind is awake, and go to these different focus levels, as they're called, which are just referential points that represent a different characteristic state or level of consciousness that is other than your standard waking consciousness. And this is something that can be attained through regular meditation without the tapes, hemisync technology, binaural beat technology. What these people found is that they were making contact with entities, that there was apparently an actual realm that one can visit and interact with outside of their bodies. Like I said, I'll get into the details in a later video, but I have 100% left my body before. As crazy as it sounds, I've seen my body from above while meditating using the gateway tapes. And it's one of those things that you can't really force it. The harder you try to make it happen, the less likely it is that it will happen. But all of this points to the possibility of there existing a reality greater than the one that we currently inhabit in our daily lives here on Earth. And I don't know, I'm really fascinated by near-death experiences, and going back to the whole reason that I wanted to make a video about this topic is one of my first vlog style videos, is that getting into near-death experiences, studying them, watching tons of videos, reading about them, really opened a portal into another world or another dimension or layer of reality for me. And like I said, took away my fear of death. It gave me I think a sense of purpose, which, in a strictly materialist worldview, it can be hard to understand exactly what that purpose may be. I can say that I have a sense of purpose. I don't have a clear idea what exactly my purpose is. One of my kind of inclinations keeps coming back toward making videos, and I will have all of these ideas bubbling around in my head and won't know how to focus on one idea or one thing. This isn't meant to be a comprehensive treatment of the topic by any means, but more of an introduction to me. Hi, I'm Jared. I hope to be making more videos in the future. If you have enjoyed this little conversation, I guess, and there's anything else that you would like for me to cover, if there's something that's of particular interest to you, please leave me a comment, let me know what that is. I would love any ideas and suggestions. I am interested in a wide range of topics within the greater realm of Western esotericism, the paranormal, supernatural. All of that stuff is fascinating to me. Hidden knowledge and wisdom. I'm coming to find that there's a very good reason why it is treated in the way that it is. And a lot of it has to do with going back into history, the power structures that have dominated the world up until now. And it seems like we may be going through a period of very radical change, I would say, as a human species collectively. Part of that change is going to require undoing what has been done, kind of the idea of creative destruction, in other words. So while we might be fretting in the moment, not knowing what direction we're all heading, especially if you live in the United States, it's crazy town over here. I continue studying these various traditions because they all, in key areas, keep circling these kind of core truths, which is that, as the Gateway tapes will tell you, we are more than our physical bodies. We're much more than our physical bodies. We have powers that extend beyond any average human's ability to comprehend. And we have the ability to become aware of these powers and develop them. One of them being the ability to go out of body, to have a first-person experience through your point of view as the you that you are, separate from the physical body that you were born into this world and given a name as. That name only applies to this physical presence, but to the spirit that animates the soul that drives our flesh vehicles is, according to most worldviews that I've studied, immortal, a spark of the infinite and the divine. Anyway, before I go off on a longer tangent, I'm just going to cut it off there. Let me know what you think. Thank you for stopping by, watching my video. I hope it was not too rambly. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you all next time.